Welcome to Buzz TV. I'm Dan Edelman, your host with Heritage Capital Group. Joining us today are two business leaders, Michael Kirwan of Foley and Lardner, an attorney, and Steve Jenkins of Chancey Metals. Michael and Steve, thank you for joining me this morning.
Well, thanks for having us.
Glad to be here.
Interesting to have two different perspectives here, Steve being an operating business owner and Michael really being an advisor to business owners. Talk a little bit about your experience, and if we had a young up-and-coming leader watching this morning, what kinds of advice would you give them to be thinking about to be a good leader?
Michael?
Okay, well, thank you, Steve. Well, Foley is an operating business as well. We just specialize in advising others also. So, we see it from both perspectives there. I think one of the keys of being a good leader is being, one, knowledgeable about what the mission of the company is, but being receptive to different ideas on your team and trying to consider a number of different viewpoints so you can end up making the best decisions possible for your company.
Yeah, and I would echo everything Michael said, and but add that with our young people in particular, one of the first things I encourage is go get some formal training. There are some fantastic courses and they don't take a lot of time, but just get the ABCs, because I think a lot of us take it for granted that people are born with these skills, and for most people they're really not inherent, they're learned. And I encourage the young people to take the time to do that.
What about the importance of mentorship? How have you both seen that work, and is it an important part to that growth and leadership?
Well, as a law firm, I think mentorship is really so valuable. Lawyers basically learn from experience and seeing how the older lawyers in the firm handle issues, how they advise clients, how they address issues. And so it's so critical for young lawyers to have that mentor relationship so they can benefit. And so that, I think, translates to all businesses, really.
Without a doubt. And I consider myself a living example of being a benefactor of some very strong mentors throughout my life, and knowing what a gift that is. It helps me emphasize that both in my own activity, but also to encourage my senior team to serve in that role. There's a lot of gratification to come from it.
And what about the people that you're mentoring and you're leading making mistakes? Happens all the time. A lot of them I know from my experience are afraid to make a mistake. Sometimes it's the best learning experience.
Absolutely. I think a lot of people are just so afraid to admit they've made a mistake. But, at our firm, we don't want mistakes, but they happen. And the only way people can learn and really make sure that mistakes aren't made again is to acknowledge the mistake and work to try to figure out, how do we avoid that? How do we improve upon that? So having that dialogue, I think, is really important, and making sure the culture is such that people don't feel like they'll be unduly penalized for coming forward with a mistake. It's like, let's welcome the conversation and try to figure out how can we do better.
Fear of failure is a real hindrance, if you will, within an organization, and it's something that I constantly try to battle, if you will. And I want people to make mistakes, small ones preferably.
Exactly.
Because that's where you improve.
And both of you, obviously your business takes up a lot of your time, but you've also found the time to give back to the community. Well, why is that important to be a leader?
You want to take the first shot?
Sure. Well, my experience has been it's easy to kind of get in a small world. And when you engage yourself in community service in any fashion, really, you're likely to run into people of different mindsets, different professions, and it's quite helpful for your own personal development to expose yourself to other experiences other than sit behind that one business or that one profession solely. So I would say that.
Yeah, I think that's right. And, Foley, we've got 25 something offices around the country, and it's easy to be focused on the legal issues you're dealing with for your clients. But at the end of the day, we live in this community, and just like my colleagues in the other 25 cities live in those communities. And so giving back, participating in your local community is so important, because not only does it allow you to interact with a larger group, but giving back really has so many psychic benefits. You just feel better about your community and trying to improve where you're living. And so it just comes back in spades, I think, for people.
Well, and I know, although it's not often said, the community benefits from all of the time that we give back, and it is appreciated, and it makes a difference. It makes our community a better place. So I appreciate that, and appreciate Steve and Michael, you joining me this morning and talking through some of this. You at home watching, hopefully you've gotten a few little nuggets of benefit out of this. Appreciate your time, and I'm Dan Edelman, the host. Michael Kirwan from Foley and Lardner, Steve Jenkins from Chancey Metals. Thank you for being with me this morning.
Thanks for having us.